Moscow launches a covert incursion into the Arctic close to Greenland's shores. Yet America's armed forces strike back without delay, causing deep regret in the Kremlin. Precisely at 0314 hours in that zone, amid the icy mist shrouding the Lincoln Sea, the calm, frozen expanse abruptly shatters. A huge metallic fin from a Russian Yasen-M class sub pierces through the thick layer, mere 45 meters from Greenland's edge. Its launch tubes buzzing as warheads align toward key Atlantic targets. Along the frigid coast, top-tier Spetsnaz troops pour from sturdy inflatable vessels, feet striking protected territory while they advance, to raise a banner they assume global eyes are overlooking amid distractions. They see themselves as unseen predators slipping past US vigilance, with Washington focused elsewhere on Greenland matters. However, as the Russian leader gears up to report triumph back home, he remains oblivious to the atmosphere humming with concealed digital signals from a US hidden web. Events unfold beneath the surface and across quiet, high-altitude waves that Russian detectors miss entirely. Stick around through this entire account, as its resolution features a precise, unseen assault plus vanished Moscow hardware still baffling their explanations to citizens. Don't skip the closing minute where we uncover the real cost of this Russian blunder. Global power dynamics had transformed sharply in recent weeks after a bold American mission quashed an emerging danger in Venezuela. That move rippled alarm through Kremlin corridors as the US leadership emphasized a firm commitment to controlling the vital GIUK corridor, the maritime bottleneck linking Greenland, Iceland, and the UK, while suggesting the value of a lasting base on Greenland to strengthen NATO's polar edge. The Kremlin sensed its northern sway diminishing fast. This went beyond routine scouting. It aimed to create an irreversible foothold right there, a lasting Moscow mark on Greenland terrain to spark a negotiation standoff favoring them. Their goal: prove they retained the ability to threaten Atlantic cores. But the Kremlin overlooked how the US Navy and Air Force don't merely navigate the Arctic, tempered by years of Cold War trials. They command its fundamental elements. The Moscow Group, commanded by the Admiral Kasatonov, followed a policy of proactive safeguarding, basically the Kremlin's term for bold land grabs masked as protection measures. They deployed their elite forces, the 45th Independent Special Operations Group from the airborne troops, along with tailored northern naval squads, skilled in freezing condition disruptions and swift airstrip captures. Their mindset stemmed from a risky conviction that America would respond too sluggishly or with political caution to an ambiguous maneuver, avoiding outright war signals. They employed the Krasnoyarsk, among their stealthiest atomic-powered missile subs, to form an underwater barrier, confident its superior acoustics would spot any US intruder well ahead. The plan: disembark, fortify, set up extended-range S-400 defenses, then reveal themselves globally, forging a fresh Cold War status quo in hours. They wagered on US preoccupations with Latin American and Mideast operations, a monumental risk rooted in obsolete views that US orbital monitoring could be thwarted by endless polar blizzards, and reaction delays stemmed from vast separations from mainland bases. They anticipated days of talks and debates. Instead, a crushing counter came in under 60 minutes. What's more, Russian leadership displayed extreme hubris. They trusted their polyonic jamming tech to hide their traces from Western scans. They proceeded with the boldness of troops unused to matching high-tech pushback for years. The Defense Ministry in Moscow presumed US Caribbean upgrades left the GIUK area thinly staffed. They ignored how America doesn't abandon zones, it digitizes them. Underwater listening grids, upgraded from the SOS US setup, were already relaying the Krasnoyarsk's profile to Virginia-based experts. Each bubble from its 7-bladed screw got recorded, dissected, and turned into leverage. The danger wasn't merely elevated, it spelled doom. The Kremlin's aim: build a protective buffer. Yet, their approach hinged on a core misjudgment of US supply chains and data merging. They stepped into a shredder, convinced they wielded it. Still, US forces awaited, armed with overwhelming tech superiority emblematic of current American tactics. The pushback centered on the USS Gerald R. Ford's battle formation, positioned quietly in the North Atlantic via strict emission silence rules, rendering the massive 100,000-ton vessel undetectable to Moscow's signal scouts. Core to the US, retaliation, the Aegis battle network aboard Arleigh Burke destroyers, notably the USS Donald Cook, employing its ANSPY-6 V1 scanner to pinpoint Russian frigates amid densest polar haze and flurries. This detector is precise enough to spot something bird-scale across hundreds of miles, never mind 4,500-ton warships. As Moscow crews battled frost buildup on outdated, sluggish gear, American sailors used P-8A Poseidon planes to scatter intelligent clusters of multi-static buoys encircling the Yasen sub. Every device formed a linked point, transforming subsea realms into clear views. America didn't merely gear for blocking, they orchestrated a lesson in disgrace. They sent out F-35C Lightning II jets, history's top sensing crafts, leveraging multi-function links to orchestrate mock attack waves invisible on Russian displays, until projectiles neared 45 seconds out. Each F-35C serves as an aerial coordinator, blending inputs from orbits, deep buoys, and land detectors into one deadly overview. No, even match here. Just a showcase of cross-domain snares where Moscow actions met AI-crafted counters before skippers finished dawn brews. US readiness reached perfection. The USS Donald Cook stood supported by the Ford's aerial might, featuring EA-18G Growlers calibrated against Russian S-400 waves. Naval forces also fielded fresh Tomahawk Block V variants, switchable mid-path with identifiers distinguishing warships from non-combatants in chaos. All personnel in ops hubs were experts drilled for intense situations with clinical poise. No frantic replies, just rollout of rehearsed polar blockade routines, run countless times via virtual ship replicas. Moscow clung to 1980s tactics. America wielded 2030 innovations. The rapid US synthesis ensured that from initial Moscow footfall on Greenland frost, a complete forceful answer stood primed. At 0352 hours, the peak unfolded. It launched not via booming blasts, but through muted, crushing tech supremacy that immobilized the Moscow armada. While Spetsnaz readied to hoist their national emblem on a hill above the site, the heavens ignited like midday dawn in darkness. Pair of US Air Force B-21 Raiders, in initial live high-risk ops, unleashed extended-reach anti-ship projectiles. These LRASMs, not targeted to hit vessels, were set for rapid, ground-level passes mere 50 feet over frigate tops. Supersonic blasts cracked bridge glass and floored crewmen. At the same time, the USS Donald Cook rushed to swift closure, its 5-inch Mark 45 cannon aimed with machine accuracy at the Admiral Kasatonov. As its jamming kit, the SLQ-32 V7 swamped Moscow ship comms in electronic static. Moscow leaders saw displays turn to nonsense, secure channels ringing with a steady, expert tone from the US officer. Moscow craft, you're breaching protected skies and seas. You get 300 seconds for full retreat or face elimination. The strain hung heavy in Moscow ops rooms, where staff grasped locks from at least a dozen unseen sources. The Yasen-M sub, shifting for counter-torpedo fire, got hammered by intense sonar from a US Virginia-class boat, the USS Vermont, lurking right under its blind spot for prior 4 hours. Underwater version of a barrel to the skull. Moscow skipper Captain Second Rank Ivanov stared at dead panels, realizing his command floated as a doomed hulk. He'd received a 300-second ultimatum to annihilation. Each passing tick edged nearer to barrages of Harpoon and Tomahawk strikes. Ground Spetsnaz, Ein B-21 roars above, understood their isolation and inferiority. Caught amid icy waters and Earth's strongest fighters, the fallout exemplified managed expertising that shook Moscow's defense circles behind closed doors, noting each step in their attack sequence shattered, with their quietest sub treated as a plaything. Moscow's top brass and Sevastopol base sent urgent encrypted commands for complete pullout. Once bold Spetsnaz squads rushed to boats in near chaos, abandoning costly Arctic kit, ammo boxes, and a drone operator unit amid rush to flee the unseen US barrier tightening. In withdrawal, Moscow frigates tried firing defensive salvos for dignity and shield, but none succeeded. One exploded from starter malfunction in brutal chill and shoddy build. The The next got tricked by USS Donald Cook's defenses, plunging useless into frost. Setbacks the Kremlin avoids admitting openly, dodging shame of revealing their advanced arms rest on shaky grounds. The shame proved total. Moscow's ships crept toward Kola lands, hounded by steady US acoustic signals to their border fringes. Days later, orbital shots depicted gloom at northern command posts. Their hubris cost more than prestige, wasted premium ordnance and mental rout of crack teams. American Navy observed the exit, holding flawless targeting till final ripples faded. No celebrations or press, boasts just subdued, skilled pride of teams executing with exact, fearsome accuracy. The polar zone reverted to quiet freeze, yet the subsea tomb of thwarted Moscow dreams expanded slightly. US Arctic hold became unquestioned. A quiet guardian showing ambiguous territorial seizures ended. This clash offers a harsh, frosty note on lasting warfare facts. 2020 strength lies beyond fleet scales or height volumes in info velocity and crew discipline. Moscow tried 20th century grabs and forced dominance in a 21st century realm of full oversight and linked attacks. They discovered the Arctic lacks wild openness for unchecked dominance, but a zone protected by tech, supply, and drill masters. America's swift pushback stemmed not from chance or fortune, but unavoidable outcomes of long-term setups, vast research funds, and defiance against shadowy aggressors. Gazing to futures of mounting world strains, where foes probe free world boundaries, recall peaceholds via solid, shown power to triumph anywhere, anytime, not hollow talks. Moscow's takeaway rings clear. Test sea overlords in their realm. Expect an extended, shaming, frigid retreat. Greenland's key role now cemented. Global signal. America stays vigilant across all fronts and moments. 100 number tomatoes. Romal takeaway boils down simply. Don't mistake US. Caution for frailty, as crossing that threshold triggers replies swift and decisive. Keep alert, stay updated, and note always, global norms get shaped by those possessing resolve and tools to uphold them.